Yep, live on the mics. Here we go. And 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode 256 is entitled Back to School. How are you different emotionally now compared to when you were in school? How much would it have helped the younger you? We'll be talking about that at the table this evening, so pull up a seat and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later on YouTube at Lunchtime in Rome. Visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. And while there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media. And it really would be great if you gave us a 5-star review. It helps a lot. Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone, and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes of the podcast and talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome.
Bada bing,
Big
bada boom.
day today. Big day today. Joe,
Huge.
Joe is here.
Landmark event right now happening.
That's not what's so huge, though.
Joe is on the podcast.
No.
Landmark.
Big day today. Maggie's first day of kindergarten. What?
I'm hearing feedback. Very high-pitched.
Nope.
Just me. Never mind.
Big day today.
Maggie's first day of kindergarten.
I've seen smaller days, many smaller days.
But yeah, Maggie's first day of kindergarten, and we didn't really we knew what to kind of expect, but the school does something a little bit different. Like normally, drop off, you go around the loop, drop them off at the sidewalk, they walk in.
Sure.
But the first day of kindergarten, we go around back to the school, and all the kids meet. They get their picture taken, like all together as a group, and the teacher prays for the class, and then it's off to the races. So it was a little different than like what
Penn Hills Elementary has changed.
I was like, I don't remember that.
It was. She was excited to go in. She was like smiling the whole time, and
You both took her?
yeah, Amy and I both took her. We wanted to drop her off, and we both picked her up, but we dropped her off, and it was one of those things like, am I gonna cry? Am I gonna get like emotional?
Sure.
I was just like, I don't know, and like I really didn't. Like I was like, she is so ready for this. I was more
Sure.
excited.
Yeah.
I was more excited
That's
than,
awesome.
than emotional. Yeah, so that was cool.
What about Amy?
She teared up a little bit, but we both know that she's so ready. It's just crazy that we're here at this moment. Like we never thought this moment was ever going to happen, that we would let alone have a kid. But the fact that she's in kindergarten now just blows my mind. And but we picked her up, and she absolutely loved it. She loved the whole day. Like, it was awesome. And the first 3 days are more about routine and, like, what kindergarten is, and then next week they're going to start learning. But so far, she's absolutely loving it.
Is it air conditioned?
The rooms do have, like, individual air conditioning. Yeah.
I mean, it won't matter this week. Next week, maybe.
The auditorium, we're going to have a bake sale.
Couple lemonade stands.
Yeah. But, yeah, her room is air conditioned. Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything?
Although today...
No, I'm
Not
saying
really
this
an
week
issue.
fine.
This week
Next week
fine.
might be something.
Yeah.
Is there anything that she likes particularly, specifically yet, or is it too early?
It's too early because today the gingerbread man came. And
Sure.
you know how it is.
I almost said, "Do you know the gingerbread man?" But that's the wrong
That's
thing.
the wrong
There were
one.
people chasing him the whole time. It was really awkward.
No, he's the not my gumdrop buttons. That's that guy. But they did that. They did that as a way to do a scavenger hunt around the school. So they went and visited the music room and the
that's
music
cool.
teacher, and then they went to the gym and the library, and like they went all around
Do they
all
have
the
a
schools.
sanctuary?
Not that I know
Chapel or
of. They just have the
mosque?
auditorium.
Which, just so you know, we're not officially naming the school.
Yes.
Right.
I picked up on that.
My man.
We don't like the
Social
docs,
cues.
Maggie.
Right.
Yes.
She's
Yet.
very excited that
Yeah.
quiet
Let's
time.
see how she does.
Yeah.
See how she acts.
Going to Fen Hills Fentimentary School.
She's very excited that she does not have to have a 2-hour
Nap
nap
time.
anymore.
I was going to say, did she point out that there was no nap?
It's only 20 minutes, and the teacher plays like a story, like an audio story.
Odyssey of the Mind, or the Odyssey, what was it called? Adventures in Odyssey.
Adventures in Odyssey.
And then Mr. Wilson came back in from the barn.
I don't think so. This one was about a monkey today, so I don't think it's I don't think it's about that. But
From Cameroon.
so but she was excited about that. She could listen to a story, so she was kind of like occupied but still resting at the same
Right.
time.
Just calms their heart a little
Yeah,
bit.
they have a great playground. She got to go out twice today. Well, the first one is like a short outside time, and then the second recess is is a little bit longer, I think. And she ate in the cafeteria, which is different.
Right,
and
because she was in preschool where you ate in the classroom.
Yeah.
If you ate, yeah.
Yeah, and I was really, first of all, when we did orientation, I was so proud of her. She was like reading. They had this like scavenger hunt around the room to learn about like the schedule and everything. There's little goodies for them, and I was so proud of her because she was like actually like reading the
Nice.
steps. I was like, holy cow! Like she was reading. She read a word. I can't remember what it was because I'm a learner man, and she read the word, and both Amy and I were like, what? Like we just got wide eyed, and we were like, holy cow! So really proud about that. But then like when we picked her up today, and we were asking her all about her day and like what her favorite thing was and all that, I was like really taken back on how much she like remembered and was
Processed.
able, and was able to like say things out loud and talk about the whole day. Like I was like, that's a day. Like she remembered this whole day. So it was very impressive. And her teacher's awesome, and yeah, it was great. I'm so excited for her. Like,
And how's Amy feel?
Same. Like we're both very excited for her, and we're just like, wow, we're here. We're here at kindergarten. Like it's
And you're
just,
at the top
whoa.
of the slide, and that slide goes fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already gone fast. Like I said, I can't believe we're here at kindergarten, but it was great, and I'm so glad.
That's awesome. I was talking to Matt Kennedy today, and he said this Friday, I don't know why this Friday, both of his kids go to school, and it'll be the first time they've both gone to school. And I guess his wife, he goes, it's the first time I've been alone in my house for 5 years.
It's wild.
And I said, Bella went back to school Monday. Joe's going back next week. I said, you'll learn to appreciate the quiet. I said, it won't feel weird for too long. How's Bri?
Good. It does go fast. Ethan started his
See,
last
senior year, baby.
Yeah.
last first day of not elementary. What's the first primary
Primary.
school? Yeah, the last first day
Secondary.
of primary school.
Grade school.
Yeah, which is it's wild. And Abby started 7th grade, and Lex and I had a moment yesterday or last night at the dinner table where I said there was no the kids are pros. Ethan, we took pictures at the door like we have almost every year. He drove off. I took Abby to school, dropped her off, and it was just like they came home and they were like, yeah, it was like a continuation of the last year.
Right.
So it wasn't like this, oh my goodness, but like for Ethan,
I was just going to say, for Ethan, it's different.
little special for sure. But like Lex and I were talking last night at the dinner table, and it was like there was no okay, oh good, thank you. After summer vacation, the kids are finally back at school.
Right.
None of that.
No.
Like it's different from like when Ethan was young, and it was like. This is pretty nice. Somebody else is he's sucking that energy from somebody else now. So for us, it was just like, and there was almost kind of we're back at school. Well, because it was nice having them home over the summer. So yeah, they're back. They're just right back into the routine. Only 2 days in, but very positive for them. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Your thoughts on this. This weekend, on the same day, on Sunday, I got stung on my left Achilles heel.
Oh,
And then I came into I came running into the kitchen from outside, and I got stung on my right Achilles heel.
What?
Two different bees. I found a bee's nest, yellow jacket. So I got stung on both my Achilles heels within a span of like 3 minutes. And then Ethan went to a friend's birthday party and apparently was playing with, they found a garter snake and he got bit by the garter snake. So I get stung and then he sends a picture of getting bit by a snake. Is there any?
That's like 7 years good luck.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is that the farmer's
I don't
luck?
know if that's
Funny
what they
you
say.
should say that.
I think you gotta wear more
because
shoes.
I don't think I'm going
don't mess
outside
with
right
a garter
now.
snake. Don't be in
Right.
your yard. These are all the lessons. No,
Don't go outside.
Don't
Live
go
in fear.
outside.
but you guys know Uncle Totter,
Yeah.
Mr. Holler. I think it was over the weekend. He was trimming his hedges and he got stung by a hornet. And I think he said on his way back, no, he got stung by a hornet. And it turns out he didn't know it, but he's allergic.
Oh no.
And so by the time he got inside, like his mouth was swelling.
Oh, no.
And so he drove himself down the street to his cousin's house. She drove him out to urgent care, and they made him stay for like 2 hours just because of all the different things.
Sure.
So then he hired an exterminator, and the guy came out and found a bee's nest in the ground.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, we can take care of that for this much." And he's like, "No, the hornet's nest in the
Oh.
bush." And the guy was like, and the guy said it was gargantuan.
Oh,
and so,
man. Wow.
so
No, I don't want to deal with
so
that.
they're angry. And I got, like I said, it was a month ago and I got bit 5 times by that. Did you know that?
No,
Yeah, it's when you were gone. But
maybe.
I don't pay much attention, Dad. So, yeah, your question is something going on in the biting world?
Does that
Are
mean
the
something?
animals
Does that
angry?
mean something like yeah? I mean, I told Chris.
The Achilles tendon?
No, I told Chris. I was like, I'm surprised your feet could feel that. Because
That's true.
I had dead feet. He was like, your feet felt that.
The bee was disappointed. Actually, no, he wasn't. They're purple. He was like, oh, that's if it was a mosquito, it would have just been like, "Grrr."
Can't miss that target.
Giga mosquito.
And I'll tell you what, like they were the yellow jackets. Like they were mean, and maybe
Because you said ow, and he said, I don't care.
I think I brought another one in
You're
on my,
fat.
on my ankle on my other ankle, but like
How long did it hurt?
swollen for 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And again, my feet
And wait,
aren't
when
the
was
best. This was Sunday
Sunday after church.
after church.
Yeah.
Gosh, so itchy too.
Yeah.
See, that's like what I got stung with in North Carolina when we were disc golfing. And because it was the next day, it still hurt.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones I got stung at earlier this summer were just like, ow, and it's gone.
Yeah, mine hurt.
No,
for a
they
couple-
got itchy. That is right.
Mine hurt, and then they
Yeah.
got itchy, real itchy.
Yeah, crazy itchy.
Yeah. But if I was a real man like Joe, maybe that wouldn't have hurt.
I mean,
Joe, what have you been up to, bruh?
oh, nothing much. Just
It's fine.
Again?
It's fine. Again.
We're going to have some discourse with the Discord. No, it's not a Discord. No. Is it?
It's Audacity.
The
It has the
audacity.
audacity.
The
audacity.
Computer program.
We're just going to have to roll with it like we
Not
did
a
last week.
sponsor.
It's going to take
Obviously.
longer.
So now we can't do drops.
No, I had some good ones going there, too.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
we did.
All right. Oh, well. It's fine. Let's keep rolling.
get her done.
Yep.
Pitter
Let's
patter.
go.
Rid-it-do-do-do-do.
So
Actually,
Joe-
let me try one thing, Joe.
Joe's been in
Sure.
Siberia.
Yeah, I was in
Getting
Fort
gassed.
Knox for 35 days doing cadet summer training.
Dang. So
Is
he
it-
says.
So,
So he says.
Never saw a picture of him.
MK Ultra.
That's right.
oh,
Oh,
um,
now we're flagged.
you just awakened the sleeper cell in me.
Yeah, now we're
That
going to
was
lose the
trick.
YouTube feed, and then, like, we're not going to have any audio.
And now we are demonetized.
Oh, dang.
We are not going to owe as much this week.
Sorry, Joe. You're trying to tell a story.
Well, we're sort of watching.
Yeah, we're
restart
watching.
Audacity.
Oh.
It's not running.
And
But it is now.
what were you doing, Joe?
Oh, I was in Fort Knox for 35 days
The hell
doing
you
cadet
say?
summer training.
For
ROTC,
in what branch of the military?
Army ROTC, cadet summer training, Fort Knox. We went forwards and then we went backwards.
What do you mean?
Just in the way I explained it.
Oh, you're not going to have to do this again, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. So this is the thing ROTC cadets are like training to do for 3 years. And then, so basically the way I explain it is it's
Gotcha.
5 days of the longest in processing you've ever done.
What does in processing mean? In processing me.
One day you
MK
do
Ultra.
finance paperwork. The next day you go to the medical, you get blood drawn. The next day you do
So they know everything about you now.
Oh yeah, they gave me shots.
Oh my.
What'd they shoot you with, Joe?
Chicken pox and
Anthrax.
No, like no, hepatitis? No. Mumps? No.
yeah, and measles.
Things that
or-
he's already been
no,
fully vaccinated on, they gave him more.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Right.
I'm like,
That's what you do.
don't let me see a chicken pox. Singular pox.
So that kind
Yeah.
of stuff for
So,
5 days.
5 days, 25 days of training, and then 5 days of the longest out processing you've ever done. So,
Basically, like they tested your blood when you came in. They're testing their blood when you go out.
yep, they're doing
Okay.
financials on the
What
way
were some
in.
of the things you did in those 25 days of training?
Sure. So I went to the shooting range, and then I did land navigation, and then I did the.
What does land navigation mean?
So, land navigation is you were handed a map, points, and a protractor and a compass, and they're saying, "Here's where you are. Find where on this piece of paper where these points are. Tell me what this sign says."
Okay, so you had to find a sign.
Right in the woods, and
How big of an area?
2 kilometers, and like two
Do
square,
that in American.
2.5 miles.
By
What army are you
2.5
in?
miles.
Is this the British Army? What?
do you have to write with your left hand?
18 football fields by 35
There you go.
Costco parking lots.
It was 40 knots. It was 40 knots.
So big area,
Big area.
both in the daylight and at night.
Yes.
Night.
Nighttime.
How do you
is-
see at night, Joe?
You don't. So
They didn't give you night vision.
no. That's night vision goggles are like $35,000
Yeah.
We're not going to waste it on these scum.
on these college kids.
Yeah.
No. So the rule is, if you're standing still or stationary, you're allowed to have a red lens on. But if you're moving, you are not allowed to have any light. So on the night it was cloudy, the moon wasn't very helpful, so it was very dark.
Wow.
So you can use the red light to look at your map.
Yeah, and you can like stop walking, click,
Look around.
okay, click, walk a couple feet, fall in a ditch, get out of the ditch, turn on your light, you're like, what? And then
I'm in a
you can-
ditch.
Were there any injuries, like you sprained ankles or anything
No,
like that?
I got so you get so basically like for 2 weeks in those 25 days, you're in what's called garrison. So it's basically at the end of every day you'll go back to the barracks, sleep in.
So you're not like
bed.
camping out and
No,
Yeah.
and you're allowed to have your phone when you're in the barracks, but not during training or anything.
sure.
But then for 2 weeks you go out to the field where no phone, sleeping outside, doing missions basically, and then you do the out processing. So
What did you do the day before you went in the field?
the day before I went in the field,
Yeah.
oh, I got gassed. Yeah,
Damn.
I went in the gas chamber. Terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
What kind of gas?
CS
is-
gas.
So what does that do?
So it's a riot control gas,
Okay.
essentially. So it's an invisible, smokeless gas that
Ah.
you breathe in. It makes your lungs feel like there's a fire in them, and your skin burns.
Wow.
Didn't
Tears
know
and
that.
stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
How
was
long does
crying.
it last?
2 minutes. Like once you're out. So basically, they
I was gonna say, once you're out, is it
line
gone?
up 20 of you.
Yeah.
You get in this building. There's a guy with a gas mask on, and it seems like a microphone. Like he sounds different than everyone else with the gas mask
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
He's like,
Okay, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your right arm up and do a circle.
and then you do the circle, and then
Yeah.
at the end, he's like,
Okay, take off your mask and sing Baby Shark.
Is that really what he said?
yeah, that's what he said. And so,
Baby shark.
so
in the
we all
army.
turn to the left, put our hands, like put your hand on the person's shoulder in front of you. Baby shark. Baby shark.
Were you throwing up? Were people throwing
I was
up?
gagging.
Were
Like,
you?
Yeah.
And then he lets that go on for like 15 seconds. And then they open the door, single file out. And then you're doing like the duck arm, like you're flapping your arms, snot, tears,
But like the pain kind of lasts for like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. And then
Yeah.
you're like, man, that was terrible. You looked dumb. Like,
Yeah.
and then you go in the field. And then that was really fun.
When you were in the field, you said you slept outside, like in tent. Like, did you get tent, or
No.
you just
So,
on the ground?
You're in like it's called a patrol base. It's basically everyone lines up in a triangle and then the important people are in the middle, and then the non-important people are sleeping on the border. You get a sleeping mat and a sleeping bag. I liked it.
All right.
It is cool to sleep outside.
Except when
damp.
it rained.
Well, yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
that's
not fun.
Yeah.
Was it hard rain?
No, it was like annoying rain where you were like,
Sandbridge, Virginia rain.
Yep. Well aware of it.
it's like, I'm wet, but it's not like heavy enough that you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Did you feel dehumanized at any point? Like, obviously you're in the Army and they're processing you in, they're processing you out. And part of it is to kind of break you down and make you know that you're just a number, but maybe that's more.
that's more boot camp or like
Basic.
basic training.
Yeah. Okay.
This is more, we're teaching you how to be leaders. And like, so, ooh, sorry. It's okay.
Like knock some of the young rough edges off of you, make a man or
Right.
a woman
Exactly.
out of you. Was it mixed? Did you guys have like different gender, men and women?
Co-ed.
Co-ed?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say it's about a 2/3, 1/3 ratio.
Okay.
And one of the things they had to do, is that on your way back from the field when you did the ruck?
Oh, the worst ruck of my life. Yeah. So
But not for why you think. No, what is a ruck?
a ruck is when you have a heavy backpack on and you're walking for a long time.
And you have
Yeah,
done
that's
some rucks over the past
I've
couple
done
of years.
the 12 mile is my favorite PT event. And so on the way back from where we ended the field to the barracks is 12 miles.
Okay.
Just kidding. It's 13 and a half.
All right.
And you have to be 3 meters apart from everybody else. You can't talk. You're full face paint, carrying a rifle. So usually a 12 miler will take me 2.5 hours. This took 4.5 hours.
Oh my god.
With an extra mile and a half.
Yep.
Wow.
Because he had to go in formation. He couldn't go at his pace.
You're going at
You're
the
going
pace.
at the
It's
fastest,
like
the
being in
slowest
traffic
guy.
Right.
on 70.
I was just like halfway through. I look at my watch. And it's like 2.5 hours of elapsed. I'm like, I'd be done. I'd be done by now.
Wouldn't all these other people be doing rucks like the same kind of program as you and everything?
It's a
Okay.
requirement.
They're just
So they-
not as good as
they
Joe.
yeah.
Well, and it is your best physical activity.
Yes, I am. Like
Good
2.5 hours
strength.
is not the average for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're good at walking.
So they put
with
the
backpack.
they put the slowest person at the front.
No, so the way it works is they line up your company in a formation, and then there's a van here, and there's a van here.
One in the front, one in the back for those of you who are just listening.
Yeah.
Sorry. That doesn't help. They're listening.
If I move my hands over
Joe,
here,
face the camera for those who are listening.
Right. Okay. So basically, then the vans are setting the pace.
got
So
it. Okay.
that's what that is.
But overall, good experience.
Great experience.
Wow.
Isn't that
Great
something?
people. Met some
Yeah.
great people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
And we have some great people sitting at the table here with us.
Yeah, but I'm going to give an update real quick.
Please do. Oh, yeah, please do.
So, speaking of being emotional, when you drop Maggie off for school, like,
Yeah.
people would say to us, like, have you heard from Joe? And we're like, no, he's in the field for 13 days. Well, shouldn't he be back by now? And, I think I talked about it last week. And we were cool with it, and it was fine. And we go down, and went down a little bit early. We got to play a little disc golf. And on Friday, Rachel goes, you know what? We have to stop because I want to get some Kleenex because with this stupid perimenopause, I'm afraid I'm going to cry when I see Joe. And Belly goes, a little bit of life in there.
That's so good.
It was such a great moment.
That's such a good line.
Comedic
And
assassin. And she's in the back seat, so it was like that little.
Yeah.
So we go to Family Day was first. So we go into this auditorium on the Army base, and you're sitting there and you're watching this video, waiting because we got there early because we wanted to get seats and everything else. And you're watching all the pictures, and you're like, all right, so there was only 80 people in this whole thing, and 60 were people of color, and 70 were women. Like, I'm like, Joe wasn't even here. Now, meanwhile, there was 1,000? No, 600.
600.
600, but like the same people were in every picture. And then they did a Q&A, and people are asking questions like, well, my son's is an MOS Por 34, and he's going to graduate. And in what order? And Rachel and I are looking at each other. I'm like, do you have any idea what they're talking about? Because we just let Joe go. Like, you go do your thing, man.
Yeah.
And they're asking these questions and everything else. And it's, hilarious because we have no idea what's going on. And then we get to go get our cadets, and they're outside. And it was such a moment of pride and just exhilaration to see him amongst all these other cadets. And you're on an Army base. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And to see Bella be excited to see him, and to see Rachel just latch on to his neck. And then within minutes, it's like, it's still Joe. Like, he's still being goofy and silly. And
They didn't change him.
he put his helmet on Bella, and then he started smacking her.
I went, Bella, try this on. She was like, okay. And I went, boom.
Bella,
For the
start
people
singing.
listening, I roundhouse smacked her on top of the helmet.
Bella, start singing Baby Shark.
Gassed her right in the face.
It's like the bug spray with the lighter.
Now you're in the Army.
No, you're in the
But I said to Joe, hey, listen, is your schooling, because you may have to take an extra class or two next year afterwards, is that going to affect anything? And his answer was, he goes, Dad, God's got a plan, and I'm going to be fine.
Wow.
Whether he goes full-time, which he wants, or reserves. Watching him march on Sunday morning in the graduation ceremony, listening to them talk about what they did, all that stuff, your heart is filled with pride. But for him to say, Dad, God's got a plan. If I go full-time, great.
That is a different Joe than I know. I mean, not in a bad way. It's just like there's been points where
It's the evolution.
the evolution. There's been anxiety and fear of the future and the unknown, and that's a very unbelievably mature.
After you get through a 4.5 hour ruck, you know?
Right. There's many times, like in the field, I'm laying on a slope, covered head to toe in mud, holding a machine gun pointed into like darkness. And I'm like, okay, where in my life did I make the turn from like nerdy high school kid to I'm here now? Like, what did we do to get here?
This is real.
And we appreciate that. And there's people that lead the Army in our country, and there's people that lead sitting at the table. And so we are so grateful for Bethany, for Mary Lynn, for Breaking 90, and I always forget one. Ashley, I'm so sorry. That they sit at the head of the table by going to lunchtimeinrome.com and becoming a paid subscriber, and you get all the perks, all the benefits. Chris is not with us tonight because he's working on the merch.
Yeah.
He's going to break that all out.
Working
He's
hard.
got our head of the table package coming out real soon. We're going to roll that out. But we do appreciate it because it helps us buy equipment. It helps us buy supplies. It helps us pay for things we need to pay for. And you get to be known as one who sits at the head of the table. And so we're grateful for that. But Joe's statement of, God's got a plan and I'm going to be fine, is not the way you handled yourself through much of your high school career.
No. Beginning of college,
Certainly not beginning of college. And so one of the things I thought of with going back to school, rather than, hey, how was school for you? And how was school for you? And okay, whatever. But we have all grown so much emotionally in our vocabulary and our understanding of where hurts go. Understanding, I just said it today too, once again, Uncle Totter. That if people are not aware of their emotions, they'll be manipulated by their feelings. And it was really cool. He said to
That's
me,
a T-shirt. That should go on a
oh,
T-shirt.
yeah.
Chris is working on it right now.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. And Todd actually said to me, he goes, Jay, he goes, you know that my relationship with you over the years, he goes, I've watched and I've learned a lot. He goes, and I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for some of the teachings you've given me. And I was like, well, thanks, man. But what if we would have known then what we know now? What if you as a pipsqueak little third grader would have an understanding? So I put the query out to Facebook. Now, it's a deep question, so we only got 4 responses, but they're 4 thoughtful responses. So what I thought we would do is listen to what they have to say. We're grateful for each of these people. But then we're going to look at it and say, okay, well, what emotional need or what emotional process that we teach do they understand now that they didn't understand then? That's the first thing we're going to do. So, Eric, why don't you lead us off?
All right. Christina said,
Christina Madden, by the way.
Yes.
Big fan.
I was very conscious of other people's opinions of me. I had 2 friends, not big groups. I was not popular, quote unquote. Kids are often cruel to one another, and even at 54, ouch, she says, I can still remember those feelings not being liked. Now that I am older, I learned to be comfortable in my own skin. yes, I like the idea of being liked, but it's more important to me that I'm a good person and that I'm passing that along to my kids.
I think we can all identify with that. Joe's becoming a beatnik over here.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's still amazing to me that even like, you know, people that say like, "Ah, time will heal that, time will heal this." Like,
Time heals all wounds.
It really has become one of my least favorite liked responses to.
You take the greatest umbrage with it.
Yeah,
It is that nonsensical, conventional, worldly wisdom that's not necessarily very true.
right, because like if you just let things fester and go on and on and on, it's not.
At best, you
yeah.
get calloused.
So like, you know,
Dead inside.
even though she's experienced life and time has gone on, those
Right
emotions
there.
still
They're right there.
come up. Like that's proof right there. Whereas like she's talking when she was young, and now you know she's 54, which is not old.
No. Older than me.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like quite some time has passed in her life, and
Still there.
She still feels those emotions come up.
So do we think it's the emotional need of acceptance, being loved even though you've made a mistake, or is it the emotional need of belonging, being a part of something that was more she was experiencing, or security?
My gut went with belonging, but
I went with acceptance.
I went with acceptance too, because she had two friends, and I feel like if you got two friends, two good friends, that sense of belonging is gonna get met in some way.
But she was still worried about not being popular,
Well, she was worried of other people's opinions.
right?
So, like, if somebody didn't like something that she did because of their opinion of her, I think that could affect acceptance.
I said acceptance because at the end it was important to me that I'm a good self acceptance almost.
Or like that she's a good person. She wants to do good and not do anybody wrong, and because she has a high need of acceptance.
I wonder also if it's the fact that she has a high need and or value of respect, and how she measures that has changed. Because before it was, am I respected because people like me? No, so I have these horrible feelings about myself. And now it's, I respect me because I'm a good person and I try to do what's best. So it's always been a high need of respect. It's just that how it's met has changed over the years. I don't know. I really hope, by the way, when people are joining us, either live now or later, that they are doing what I do on other podcasts, which is like they're screaming into their phone, like, "No, you
not what I
idiots!
meant."
No. I mean,
Yeah.
other people like diagnosing it before we do,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
disagreeing with what we're we're saying.
yeah.
It's this.
Yeah.
Lorianne, I felt like I lived in the shadow of my perfect brother, captain of the debate team, National Honor Society, accelerated classes with straight A's. Teachers compared me to him, so comparison's a killer. So I chose to not be like him. It affected my life due to bad emotionally charged choices. It has had a lifelong effect on my relationship with my brother. If I could go back and talk to me, I would tell myself that I am smart enough and brave enough to just be myself. Make choices for my future, not to prove anything to anyone but me. I am enough. Now, I choose to lift up others who feel they are not enough so they can see how awesome they are, to step out of the shadows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lorianne's awesome.
Lorianne is exactly who Lorianne is.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know Lorianne, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Joe, you said one of the greatest things about Lorianne. You said whenever she teaches or preaches.
Is it the so she takes a children's sermon or like a Sunday school sermon and brings it up to the adult level.
Yeah.
That if you're like a snob, you're like, well, no, that makes sense. I like sunflowers too. I want to be bright and sunshiny.
She definitely has a very,
Childlike.
just a great way to meet whatever level that you're on. She takes it as if she's talking to a child and doesn't make you feel like a child, but yet at the same time you're like, oh, I feel
Like a child.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
She makes you feel like a child again,
Yes.
not childish or disrespectful.
Right.
yeah, because she's spoken twice in the last month and a half.
She
or
learned to
whatever.
love this week, and she preached a couple months ago or a month ago.
and both times,
that's great.
it is just like, wow, yeah, that's a gift.
Another person that you go, wow, she really loves Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I love Jesus. You love Jesus.
Yeah.
We
We
all
all
love
love
Jesus here, but
She really loves Jesus.
up here.
But she didn't get along great with the brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to
I
that.
would, I mean, respect.
I went belonging for this one.
Because I'm not as good as. I don't really apply. I'm not as good. I'm not as good of a Klingler
Man, if there's any
or
teachers listening,
Bonine. I forget which was her maiden name and which is her maiden.
that's got to be the like. I remember. I don't.
Like they should teach that in education.
Yes, you don't compare siblings to other siblings. Every kid's different. I don't really feel like I was compared to my brother when I was a kid. Like, yeah, I mean, I knew my brother had, had teachers that I had growing up, but I was thankful for that.
Did you say respect?
I did.
Yeah, it's respect too because she feels like they weren't respecting her.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to discount that.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much I'm going to say respectfully.
Everything's respect.
And I was the firstborn, so like I never really had to deal with that,
Christina did. No. Like,
Lorianne did. No. Wait, my sister.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're
Well,
like Brian.
yeah. Oh, you're
You're
gonna
Brian's
you're gonna
sister.
do better than him, right? Because he was kind of a moron.
He set the bar
And she
real
said,
low.
hard not to. And they're like, am I right?
Best high five you've ever heard, like with the teacher.
So you're saying belonging?
I mean, because I'm not good enough. I'm not like my brother.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm not as good as.
Yeah.
I didn't qualify.
Yeah.
That's so dehumanizing, like when you have those comparisons and then you internalize that, it's like, well, am I not a person? And that's what she said. It affected her life due to bad emotionally charged choices, right? Like you
Yeah.
hear that and your life goes on a whole different tangent because you are trying to measure up to somebody that's not you and never like it's that's a very toxic thing.
And I'm going to go
Yeah.
full circle, Brian.
Yeah.
I think it is primarily respect.
Oh,
because
man.
respect is I'm just worthy of quote unquote,
I'm so good at this.
love for being who I am.
Who I am, yeah. Yeah.
And that's what she said. I'm smart enough. I'm brave enough. I'm just who I am now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think anybody would have loved to have a Lorianne in school.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah, how about that? You want to do the
Yeah,
next one?
I'll take it.
You're like, I'm not taking that last one.
Becky Cresfinoletto. I thought that I was the least liked person in school. I envied classmates who always seemed to be on the inside, comfortably surrounded by their friend groups. Thanks to Facebook, I connected with some of these women, some I hadn't been all that close to at school. At dinner one night, we discovered that each of us felt like we were on the outside looking in. Incredible. It has led to some really nice adult friendships. It also gave me the insight to help my boys navigate their teen years. Yes, boys have it tough as well.
It's true.
You could have given me 8 trillion tries, and I would never have spelled Finoletto that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had to spell it because she's a good friend of mine, and I always just say it's Finogliahetto.
Yeah, I think if you
Oh,
could-
no, there's no H in there.
one of the things that I would tell myself going back in time, not to take away from Becky, but it would be everybody's on their journey and look around this cafeteria, look around this room. There is nobody that's comfortable in their skin right now. There might be 1 or 2 people in this entire class. Nobody's comfortable. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
And they're not the top of the list kids.
Right.
It's the kid down there shoving a crayon in his mouth going, I eat crayons.
I'm happy.
Today was a red crayon kind of day.
I'm going belonging on this one.
I think they're all kind of the same. I mean, so far, these have all been kind of the same. Like I was feeling like I was on the outside. I didn't fit in.
And that
I
is
didn't
a
know who I
big part
was.
of growing up.
Man.
I mean, it's a big part of growing up. And I think one of the pieces of advice that I'm gonna give Maggie at some point is like, why are you concerned with the person that's not giving you good attention, or
You're going to clean it up before you talk to her? So it's a little more concise.
Well, yeah, but how about those kids that are giving you attention and they're reaching out to
Sure.
you? Like, why not hang out with them? But they might not be like a cool kid or something, Like who's gonna think? What are they gonna think if I hang out with that person? But like, they could be your best friend for life. You never know.
Do you think that school is, not to get off on a tangent, do
I
you
know
think
where
that
you're going.
school
We
is as
on the turn.
segregated, not like segregated from a, do you think it's as, like you had the jocks and the cool kids and the skaters and
Social
this and-
social stratifications.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
Niches,
or
cliques.
yeah, or
Cliques, yeah.
has, I mean, I think it's still cliquish, but I feel like I mean, you had all these movies in the 80s, you know, like 16 Candles, like that really defined stratifications within school.
The Breakfast Club. There was like
Yes.
one from each
You're
group.
the jock.
Yeah.
Nerd, cheerleader.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's
Jock.
like that. I think we've
Weirdo.
talked about this
Weirdo.
before, you know, a little
Yeah,
bit.
so the social stratification has definitely changed. Back in the day, it was greaser, jock, nerd. Those were your choices.
Burnout?
That was a greaser because they were.
Oh, that's before my time.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
50s.
Oh, okay.
And then you'd get into the burnouts a little bit, and then the weirdos, you know, came along in the 70s, 80s, whatever else. But now the social stratification, like in Young Life, the idea was you're going to go to a new school and you're going to do ministry in a new school. So you want to find the key guy and the key girl, the key kids, quarterback of the football team, captain of the cheerleaders. It's impossible. There are 1,000 key kids because
Yeah.
you have so many different levels. You have the band. There's cool band kids who walk around like they are the king of the jungle. They don't even know that 50% of the school looks down on them
Right.
because they're the king of the band.
Musical.
The gifted kids, the Odyssey of the Mind kids.
Nerds. Double nerds.
Double.
Would have hated to be them.
But I mean, it breaks down so much now that there's greater opportunity to fit in because you fit in your own little world now.
And I think that we live in an age too where you're being told it's okay. Like you explore your let your freak flag fly. You know, like you can be whatever you want to be and be cool about it.
What's the Vivek Ramaswamy who was running for
President, for a
president?
couple
But
minutes.
he said, you want to be a rebel, you be a Christian. Because you want to be a contrarian. You young people, you go out and profess your faith in Christ
Yeah.
because you're going to stand out. That's like, wow, we have come full circle.
Yeah.
But back to Becky. Yeah, I mean,
Right,
it's much the same. It's that, do I respect myself enough? Do I belong to anything? And you know, a lot of their hurts all seem to go to self-condemnation. If we want to go down that avenue,
You're talking about
Sure.
all three of them,
Yeah.
Christina and Lorianne and Becky, that I'm not good enough. You know, my needs aren't being met. I'm not part of the group because I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving of that.
I love her line though. At dinner one night, we discovered that each of us felt like we were on the outside looking in. Incredible.
Yep.
You know,
Years down the road. What a
Years down
beautiful
the line.
healing moment.
It's-
What a blessing to have that.
It's great.
You know, because that would have been much different if they had been like, oh, we made fun of you a lot. You were the outsider in the school. I'm ashamed to be dining with you now.
Is that also acceptance? That all of them,
Lacked or had a high need for it.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because they thought whatever it was about them disqualified them from love. You know, whereas somebody who doesn't have a high need for acceptance is like, love me or leave me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Christy Fraccioni. Only about a quarter mile from here right now, as a matter of fact. Half mile.
throw.
Stone's throw. If it's Smolstead.
As the bird flies.
When I was in school, she said, I wasn't able to step outside of my personal bubble to truly see what others were going through. It was all about me, not in a selfish way, but I simply lacked the ability to be truly empathetic. It took a handful of unpleasant, quote, life experiences for me to look outside of myself and actually see others, to appreciate their needs, problems, and struggles, no longer in the way of how those things directly affected me, but how they existed separately from me. It was a gradual evolution to me that happened over the course of several years, but it was life-changing. I look back now and I see how much more I could have helped the people I loved get through really challenging times. Specifically, one thing comes to mind is when I was in my early 20s, my grandmother regularly asked me to take my grandfather to adult daycare. Tried to get up early enough to do that, but I was waiting tables at the time and often didn't get home until 1 to 3 in the morning. I would frequently oversleep and she'd have to find someone else. At the time, I found her request an annoyance. I thought, didn't she realize that I'd only be getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep by taking him that early? It wasn't until years later that I understood that she wouldn't have asked me unless she absolutely had to. And now, of course, I feel awful just brushing it off. However, I had to get here on my own terms. It was absolutely a learning process. I was simply unable to see her needs at that time.
Yeah, I think it's a
That's a heavy one.
That's a heavy one.
and I think it's common to be the central character, have that central character syndrome,
Common and increasingly common.
and increasingly common. And then as you get older and as you become humbled by life and the things that life throws at you, and as you are able to, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, these things do start to break down, and you do start to go back and say, you start to develop that empathy. Hopefully. Yeah.
I'm going to be transparent. I'm a little confused
Go on.
because it says it was all about me, not in a selfish way.
She wasn't like she was. I think she's saying she wasn't saying, you know what? I am so in love with myself.
Right.
That
I think it was
nobody
more
else
of like
matters. It was just an unaware.
Yeah,
just
unawareness.
unaware.
Well, if we go back
Not
to
ignorance.
So what
but
is
like,
that though?
well, that we'll get to.
Okay.
And I don't have an answer necessarily.
All right.
But this goes back to the Chris and
stall.
Amy thing that they learned in their intensive, the 1 brain, 2 brain, 3 brain. That it was just, that's dumb. Why is that girl sick every day? Why does that girl miss so much school? That's stupid.
Right.
She's not saying, I want her to be in school anymore. She's just saying it's stupid that girl's not in school. Well, she's 2 brained. She would go, I wonder what's going on in her world that she misses so much school.
Yeah.
3 brained is, Lord, help me to understand.
Yeah.
So that's what I think she's saying. Like she only saw
Got
everything
it.
from her perspective.
Got it.
Now, breaking it down to an emotional needs perspective and or emotional processing as far as where the hurts go and stuff like that. I would say to a degree, her cup was full. So therefore, she was too consumed, Christy was, with her own world. She couldn't begin to see. What's coming out of the top of her cup was selfishness. Again, perfectly normal, by the way, for somebody that age and
Right.
increasingly normal at any age. I would say what a blessing it is that she's gotten to the point where she is.
Yes.
And my heart's broken for the regret that she has.
Yep. Thank you for saying that, because as we read those last couple lines, it was like we can't just leave that here.
Because we at least know Mrs. Fraccioni, as you would
Yes.
know her, one of the most giving people in the entire community of Penn Hills.
Yeah.
I mean, steps up. People know it, but they don't really know. You know what I mean? That's how good she is.
Yeah.
Like there's people who've been blessed by them.
And they don't even know it.
No clue.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I wonder how much of that
cool.
has come from this particular story,
Right.
where I wasn't there for my grandma. Let me be that for somebody else. Let me double that.
Yeah.
Going around the room here, and this is also like, and that's again the springboard for Joe to be able to say, "Hey, God's got a plan, and I'm going to be just fine."
Amazing.
What do you know now from an emotional needs perspective that you wish you knew back when you were in school?
From an emotional needs perspective.
Belonging for sure for me. Belonging and security, because back then for me, I've talked about it a couple of times where all of a sudden my friend group just completely turns on me, becomes very malicious. And so for me, I would tell myself, look, everybody's going through something. You are good enough. Like, you don't need these people. These people are, they're here now. So it's really important right now. But I'll tell you what, these people are going to come in and out of your life, and I would try to meet that sense of belonging for that boy that was so felt so outcast, and the security is in there too. And I'm not sure how that is, but I think I was terrified of being alone and not being in a group.
And losing a friend.
So
yeah.
it was a very heavy sense of belonging and a very heavy sense of security that were both taken from me, during those years, especially 7th and 8th grade, 9th grade. So I don't know. I'd go back and just try to explain that to that kid, you know,
That kid being you.
that kid being me.
Yeah.
Might be kind of similar because I had a similar situation like
Right.
Brian.
So that when you get rejected, you're cooler. You're not cooler, but you handle it better.
Sure.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end
There's
of
a
the
lot
world.
of fish in the sea,
And like I said before, who are you having fun with? And like, you're having fun and they're investing their time in you and they like are similar. Pay attention to them. Like, you're having a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, dive into that a little bit more instead of worrying and trying to be accepted by people that don't really care much about you, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Is yours what you said?
Mine is twofold. So the one is almost security. Like, God has a plan. Like, your life is going to turn to chaos and everything when you're 12 years old. Before that, God has a plan. You will end up okay. But my second answer is more just in general, that everyone has their own ranking of emotional needs that they're dealing with, and everyone's dealing with something. Mm-hmm. That's why they are who they are. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember thinking, like, man, that guy's such like a jerk or something. Like,
Right.
why is that?
Right.
Mary Ellen is not only sitting at the table, she is with us on YouTube. And she said, it's great to be with you, though I have no idea what you're talking about. And she welcomes JoJo home.
Lots of hearts and stars and
What does Mary Lynn know about emotional needs that she didn't know when she was in high school? Boy, there's a big one.
There's an episode. But I want to go back to what Joe said.
Sorry.
Because Joe did say something
Great
great.
thought, Jay.
Because
Joe.
she knows so much now. Go
That's
on.
right. No, but that's huge because, like, if you have like a bully or something, like, they're acting the way they're acting because something is going on, and it's probably at home, and it's probably embarrassing, and it's probably really tough.
And it's like
really painful.
a
for them.
cliche
Yeah.
thing that, like, in the movies, they're like, Big Mean Jock goes home and has some problem.
Yeah.
But, like, that's real.
Yeah.
Like,
Here you go,
that's-
Johnny. Here's a pack of cigarettes.
Go make me turkey pot pie.
You want to smoke a cigarette? Smoke 50 cigarettes.
Ties a pork chop around him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait till you hear that clip. No, and to that end, it's a line, the one T-shirt I want to make. Well, the one is
The one that Chris is making right now.
right. If
Yeah.
you're not aware of your emotions, you'll be manipulated by your feelings. The one we want to make for Jan, which is it's just a lot, goes on the front, and on the back it says on top of too much.
Yeah.
The newer one is nobody is to blame, and on the back it says but everybody's wrong. And that's the point of like,
Yeah.
we're all operating out of our hurts.
Yeah.
Like it's just which hurts and how are we operating poorly out of them. Mm-hmm. I would like your guys' opinion on this real quick because I think that's a great phrase. Bella's in love with it, by the way. She thought I came up with her when we were in the car. So it's nobody's to blame because we all know it's the enemy. He's dancing, screwing with people's hurts that he put in there years ago.
Yeah.
Nobody's to blame and everybody's wrong. Nobody's to blame, but everybody's wrong. They mean the same things differently.
What's the second half?
And
Everybody's wrong.
Everybody's wrong. Either but everybody's wrong or and everybody's wrong.
I can't do it.
Nobody's to blame.
But everybody.
Yep.
I would say and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
For me,
Some great pod there for a
it
minute.
would be
Yeah.
Like, we're
Jay's
just
great.
all thinking.
And.
well, except also I think people at home are, people that are listening now and later are going, and no, but,
and, but.
So they're doing it with us.
Somebody right now is like, no, it's but.
Right.
Die
However,
on this hill.
it's however. How do they not see it's however? Everybody's wrong. And you know what? It might be.
Inconsequentially.
Nobody's to blame.
However,
Everybody's wrong.
Everybody's
It's a little condescending. However, you thought you got off there.
However.
Different than that. I'm just kidding. For me, looking back, mine's a little different. I think it would be I wish I understood my need for affection. Because I was always chasing that girl to like me, that girl to go on a date with me. And I mean, it was just kind of annoying to some people, not to the girls, am I right? But but I was like, oh, I was just desperate for affection. And not like crazy amounts of affection, but like, oh, wait, do you like me? Oh, she likes me enough to go out with me? Oh, I wonder if she'll kiss me. Because then, as soon as he did that, I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like, I wasn't a complete pig. I was a partial pig. And it's like, I wasted a lot of time on that. So that's where I would want to be. I want to throw out real quick before we're done. I think a fantastic idea for a podcast, but we have to shape it.
Okay.
So, and I think I mentioned this before that I had breakfast with Diane Milowicki one day on some business things and whatnot. And I was talking to her about the fact that I was talking to Bella, and I was telling Bella how I get all these, oh, Gen X, stay away from us, man. We grew up and nobody cared and all that stuff. And I'm like, do you ever get any things like that on your timeline. And Bella just looked at me. She goes, "Why would I get any Gen X algorithms?" I was like,
Noted. All right.
so I asked Diane, and she gets boomer stuff. And I said, well, what are boomers? Like, what is your feed filled with? Like, oh, but boomers, we're like, and she said, it's just we're exhausted and just do your job. Just do your job. And I'm like, so Gen X is more like, screw you, we're tough. So for boomers, it's, we're just so tired. Just do your job. We're so tired of bending over backwards for you.
Yeah.
So I was thinking we should have a podcast where it's a Gen Z, a millennial, a Gen X, and a boomer.
Yeah. I like
And we
this.
talk about our generation's
emotional needs.
maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's going to touch on that for sure. Yeah.
And
'Cause
get an alpha in here as well.
Yeah, have Maggie sit right there.
yeah. She'll be interrupting all the time.
I have a lot of thoughts on boomers. I will not spill them.
And then we
here.
get a greatest generation here going, where are we doing?
Why am I wearing bigger
Wait,
hearing aids?
dude, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
We've
yeah.
got to get a couple of our favorite residents from
We gotta
Seneca
get Gwen.
Manor.
We gotta get Gwen.
If we get this lady Gwen, who told Joe, she goes, Joe, I want you to know, she's 95 years old, 95? Sharp as a tack, never married, and it's obvious because no man can handle her.
Yeah.
She goes, Joe, I want you to know, I'm going to name my first son after you.
And if it's a daughter, it'll be Josephine.
Oh, that's Joanne. She told us Joanne. Well, she's 95 these
Both.
days.
She's losing it.
But here's the point. She knows she's not getting pregnant. She knows she's being
Right,
funny.
right.
But
yeah.
get her, get a little Lenny Gallo in here.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be
I
hard.
want a podcast with him.
It's going to be hard getting those wheelchairs down the driveway. It sounds
So,
like.
yes.
They both
Just
walk.
let 'em
They
go.
both
Just
Let
walk.
him go.
We'll have somebody at the bottom. Let them go at the top.
Gwen's 95 and has power of attorney over a 75-year-old brother. That's what you need to know about Gwen.
Wow. Yeah.
Baller. So, yeah, something like that. That'd be not that necessarily, but the generational things.
No, I like it.
Different
And you have thoughts on
perspectives,
boomers, you said. Why are you just leaving
Oh,
that hanging
yeah.
out there?
yeah.
Your
'Cause
parents boomers? They're boomers.
my parents are boomers. Yep.
Yeah, my parents are boomers.
My parents are dead.
My dad's right here.
And on that, Joe's going to take us out.
That's it for episode 256. Join us next week for episode 257. Between now and then, please give us a like or a follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
See you next week.
Ciao.
Adios.
Bye.